So we're going to sing the prayers to Bhaktisiddhanta. Of course, first we'll sing the prayers to Prabhupada, and then Bhaktisiddhanta. So this is on page 11, the top of page 11 in the songbook. So ready? I'll sing first and then do the repeat. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Namine. What was the melody? Sri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Sri Varsha Vanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha. Madhuryo Jala Premadhya Sri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Sri Gauda Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Madhuryo Jala Premadhya Sri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Sri Gauda Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gaudavani Sri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dantaharine Namaste Gauravani Srimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dantaharine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Sotara Satsi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Saman Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Stotara Satsi Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So, I thought what I would do is to glorify Bhaktisiddhanta, just to translate literally the 3 verses we sang about him, which Prabhupada also sang. So the first verse is, of course, sort of the standard Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, which you probably know, Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Namine. So his name, Bhaktisiddhanta, means Siddhanta. It can mean perfected, like yoga siddhi. So siddha means something which is perfected, which is accomplished. And so bhakti siddhanta means to come to the final perfect conclusion about bhakti. And then, of course, to teach it. Bhakti siddhanta. Saraswati. And because he was so learned, he was called Saraswati, of course, the goddess of learning. Saraswati. Iti namine, unto him who has that name. So the next verse, actually there are 3 verses after that. So the next verse is Sri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya. Varshabhanavi, of course, is Radharani, the daughter of Vrishabhanu. So Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya. Daita means beloved. So obeisances to the one who is so dear to the daughter, the goddess who is the daughter of Vrishabhanu. And unto Bhaktisiddhanta, who is Kripati Abdi. Abdi means ocean. So Kripa Abdaye, to the ocean of mercy. And of course, the word ocean is used. It doesn't mean literally that. When we talk about like flooding in the ocean, it's a poetic way in Sanskrit of saying unlimited, that there's no end to the mercy. It's not that at a certain point, these great souls will say, sorry, I'm just out of gas, or I just, don't like you that much. So their mercy is unlimited. So if we are sincere, they will always be there for us. And there will be no end or no limit to their mercy. Because they are transparent via medias of Krishna. Krishna is, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu. So Kripabdi or Karuna Sindhu, same thing, just synonyms. Karuna Sindhu, the ocean of mercy. So because they are channeling Krishna's mercy, and Krishna's infinite, and his mercy is infinite, a pure devotee, there's no end to that mercy because they're always purely devoted to Krishna. And therefore, the channel is never clogged up. You know, if we're just in a bad mood or something, like maybe Krishna wants to be merciful to you, and I'm supposed to be the via mediator, but you got me on a bad day. So, but the great souls, they are always pure, always transparent, and therefore Krishna's mercy is always coming through them. That's the idea. So, Daitaya Kripavdi Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine. He unto Bhaktisiddhanta, who is the giver of Vijnana, realized knowledge, Sambandha, of our relationship with Krishna. For some just amazing, I guess, grammatical reason, usually with Sanskrit compounds, if you start at the end and go backwards, it comes out in English syntax. So Bhaktisiddhanta is giving realized knowledge, not just academic in the pejorative sense of that word, not just academic knowledge or theoretical knowledge, but realized. And that was our experience with Prabhupada. You know, we sat at Prabhupada's feet, and it was, as he spoke it became real to us. It became visible to us. His realization was so powerful that as he spoke to us, we could actually see what he was saying. It wasn't just like we were memorizing a lesson in school, but he revealed the truth as he spoke it. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is giving realized knowledge. He's giving realized knowledge of our relationship with Krishna, and Prabhave just means unto the Prabhu, just the dative case. So unto that Lord, unto that Master obeisances. So then the next verse, Madhurya Ujjvala Premadhya Sri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Sri Gauda Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya. Now that is quite a compound. That's all one compound. The most two take. So obeisance, let there be. Astu in Sanskrit is actually the imperative form of the verb to be. So let there be obeisances to you. It's command form. Let there be obeisances to you. And then let's start with Vigrahaya and just go backwards, and you'll see what that compound means. So obeisances to you, who are the Vigraha, the form, the personification, Shakti, of the power, Karuna, of the mercy of Sri Gauda, who is, and also Bhaktisiddhanta's Bhaktida. He's giving bhakti. He's giving bhakti. We just have to accept it. So he's giving bhakti, which is following the footsteps of Sri Rupa. He's giving bhakti, which comes from those who are actually following Sri Rupa. And that bhakti is Madhurya Ujjvala Prema Adhya. It is a bhakti which Adhya means like enriched by prema, love, which is effulgent, sort of glowing, radiant. This love, this Madhurya love, this radiant conjugal love is enriching the Rupa Nuga Bhakti that he's giving. And he is the very form. He's the personification of the power of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. That's impressive. So then the next verse is Namaste. Obeisances to you. Gauravani Sri Murtiye. Murtiye means unto the Murti. You are the personification. You are the very form. You are Sri Murti, like the sacred form of the message of Lord Chaitanya, Gauravani, Vani's message or teaching. So you are the sacred form of Lord Chaitanya's teachings, the Murti of those teachings, Dina Tarini, and you are delivering the fallen, the wretched. Tarini, like Paschatya Desha Tarini in the case of Prabhupada, the verb tara or the word tara means to cross. And so Tarini literally means one who takes you across from the material side to the spiritual side. So just like in the word avatara, it's the same word, tara. Ava means downward. So one who crosses down from the spiritual realm to the material realm to save us, it's called an avatara, literally a down crosser. Someone who's crossing downward into this world. And so here we have Dina Tarine, sort of taking us across from the miserable material condition, taking us across to the spiritual realm. And doing that for actually fallen people. Dina Tarine. So Sri Murtaye Dina Tarine, Rupa Nuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine. And so Harine means the one who's taking away. He is literally he is taking away Dvanta, the darkness of Apasiddhanta, false conclusions, false teachings. Apa in Sanskrit means like away or bad. So Apasiddhanta, false conclusions about God, about the soul, about life. Apasiddhanta, false conclusions which create darkness. Instead of enlightening us, those false conclusions just create darkness. And Bhaktisiddhanta is taking away that darkness of false conclusions. And he's doing that, it says here, Rubanuga Viru opposite. He's actually taking away the darkness of false conclusions, which are viruddha, against, or subversive to. The followers of Rupa Goswami. Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta, conclusions that are against the conclusions of those who are actually following Rupa Goswami. Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine. So he's removing that. So, any questions on that? Yes.
So the part of Murti, I mean, he is compared to the Murti Lord Chaitanya, but seems to be very exalted. But how is a person compared to a Murti? What is the?
Okay, let me find the verse that has the word.
The second one.
Yeah, he's the Murti of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. In other words, Lord Chaitanya is teaching Krishna consciousness, and then you see all those teachings in his life. So he's the Murti, he's the visible form, because the Murti means that Krishna is in the spiritual world, but through the Murti, the deity, you can see Krishna. So you can see Lord Chaitanya's teachings in the life of Bhaktisiddhanta. That's the idea.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, it's impressive. So we come in such a glorious line. Prabhupada, who did what no one had done, and then it's just an amazing group of people. Krishna sent the A-team, down to this world. I mean, the 6 Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, and then all these great acharyas. Bhakti, Thakur, there's so many of them. We have such a glorious tradition, and we can't think that we'll all be equal to them, but at least we can be faithful to them. We can be devoted servants of these extraordinary, gigantic personalities who are seeing Krishna, who are Krishna sent here to establish his mission. At least we can be faithful to him. And to be faithful to Prabhupada means be faithful to his mission. I mean, I probably in this room, I don't think there's anyone less institutionally inclined than me. But if you know history, if you actually know history, you know that it is in the rational interest of Prabhupada that we have a united, that we stay united, even though, and the thing is, it's the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. You don't have intimate dealings in a society. You have intimate dealings in a community. It's the basic sociological distinction. So we need to find a community. We need friends. We need people we can trust, people that feel really understand us, and we can understand them. So in order to really have personal support and to feel, just like to feel good about being in Lord, we need a community. And then if we have a strong community, we can deal with a society. Societies, by definition, are not very personal. It's like America, it's not like it's being really personal with me because there's too many people. But I have a community. I have a community of people who are like a spiritual family. So we all need that. And then the support and the love and the understanding of a community, whether it's one person or 3 or 50, whatever it is, it gives us a strength to function within a society, which by definition is not some intimate personal thing. There's too many people. And the ability to form friendships with other Vaishnavas is what lifts one or reveals one as at least a second-class devotee. Because when we come to the second-class platform, we just care about other people. And we want other people to come to Krishna. If someone is not really concerned about helping other people to be Krishna conscious, they haven't understood Bhagavad Gita. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Pitahamasya Jagato, I'm the father of this universe, and Mata, the mother, Tata, the creator, Pitamaha, the grandfather. In Sanskrit, they say father grand, Pitamaha. So, and one point I've always made, I apologize for those who have heard this before. Actually, I don't apologize. But anyway,
Worth repeating.
worth repeating. If I apologize every time I repeated myself, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. But Krishna emphasized this. It's just like you have good parents. They want you to get along with your siblings or, come on, this is your aunt and uncle or whatever. So Krishna said, who's the greatest spiritual practitioner or yogi? Jo mang pashati sarvatra, one who sees me everywhere. Yo mai sarvam pashati, one who sees everything in me. And then Krishna says, Atmopam yena sarvatma, sarvatra. He says you must have universal empathy. That's actually what it means. Because upama in Sanskrit means comparison. Like Krishna's beyond compare, therefore he's called Anupama. May have heard that name, which literally means beyond compare. And so because upa means proximity, in this case, and it's a preposition, has a few basic meanings. And then ma is measure. So when you bring things together and measure them, that's comparison. That's how you say comparison in Sanskrit, upama. And then opamya means sort of like by the act of comparing. So sarvatra. So atmopamyena, by comparing everywhere, sarvatra, by comparing everyone to yourself. You compare everyone to yourself, and your conclusion is ultimately that samang pashati, you see equality. Which is, some people might make that really challenging. But that's what Krishna says. If you atmopamyena, opamya, which means the act of comparing. If you compare yourself, Atma, to Sarvatra, everywhere, to everyone, and you see quality, you see that ultimately we're all equal. What's that song by George Harrison? So many people can't see that we're all the same. It's one of the lines in the song. So then Krishna says, whether you are happy or in a miserable condition, whether the people you're looking at are really fallen or whether they're in a happy situation, Sadyogi Paramomata, I consider that person to be the greatest spiritual practitioner. So Krishna's giving us all these hints in the Bhagavad Gita. You want to advance, you want to be happy, you want to really please Krishna. Just like he says at the end of the Gita, Jaimang Paramang Guyang Mad Bhaktesha Vidhasyati, one who will teach this. And of course, this is Bhaktisiddhanta. One who will teach this. Paramang Guyang, the supreme. Prabhupada translates it secret. It can mean that, but it's in the sense of like supremely advanced. The supremely advanced knowledge. Jaimang Paramang Guyam, Mad Bhaktesha, among those devoted to me. One who will teach this. Abhidasyati is the future tense. Who will teach this. Which is, Krishna's describing what we're doing right here. Mad Bhaktesha Abhidasyati, Bhakti Mai Parang Kritva, having rendered the highest devotion to me. So if you want to go to the head of the class, if you want to make quick advancement, Krishna's saying, this is how you do it. Bhakti mai parang kritva mame vaishyati asankshaya. That person will come to me without doubt. And then Krishna says, Nachatasman manusheshu kasyan me priyakritama, which very literally means no one but that person is the most dear to me. No one but that person is most dear to me. Bhakti mai parankrita, and mame, and having rendered the highest devotional service to me. Bhakti mai, unto me. Parang, the highest. Kritva, having done. Mame vaishyati, that person will come to me. Asanshaya, no doubt. So if Krishna says no doubt, why should we doubt? When it's right there. Krishna says asanshaya, there's no doubt. And so Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada, they came, these great acharyas, and they show this perfect life. They show complete absorption in the highest devotional service to Krishna. And we just have to follow. I remember when I was a little kid walking to Castle Heights Elementary School. We'd play, follow the leader. Like the leader jumps, you jump. The leader goes to the left, you go to the left. So this is just the original follow the leader game, Bhakti Yoga. And so that's all we have to do. It's like.
And you are the leader back then. They follow you.
Sometimes. Sometimes as a lead. So what I think what we should feel is just gratitude that these great souls came to this world for us. It wasn't just they came for a generic fallen souls. They really came for us. And because we're following them, we have a personal relationship. I was with Prabhupada on this day in 1976 in Mayapur. That was before the Mayapur festival. And Prabhupada, always on this day, he would get off his Vyasasana and he would put a big picture of his guru on his Vyasasana. And then he would sit on a lower seat and he spoke. So that was, oh Lord, that was 50 years ago today.
Evil.
Well, still breathing. That was 50 years ago today. I was with Prabhupada on this day. He spoke about his spiritual master. So, any questions on these points? Yes.
This verse that you were just describing from the Gita, was that the qualities that you were describing, they were being ascribed to the great souls like Bhaktisiddhanta, or were you saying, of course, there are aspirational qualities. I'm just trying to understand if the verse was attributing that.
No, it's to us. I mean, Bhakti, it's like, yeah, it's for us too. I mean, obviously, Bhaktisiddhanta is on the highest level of that, but we also can sneak in. You know, we can do that. Every one of us. I mean, the very fact that we're here right now means that we care about these things. So we are the fortunate ones because that's why we're here. We really care about these things. And that's what Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta, that's what they were doing. They were begging us to do this. So it's not like, oh, I can't do it, but they're begging you to do it. They're ordering you to do it. Hey, oh, can I welcome you? Is that okay? There's Elena from Finland. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
She's a, anyway, I don't want to embarrass her, but she is a very good person and very intelligent, good devotee. And I'll stop before she runs out of the room. But it's, yes, we're really happy she's come to visit us.
Acharya Brahmatirtha tiene una pregunta para...
Brahmatirtha has a question.
Sí, ya está inmuteado.
Brahmatirtha?
Yes, Yai.
Jai, Your Grace.
The question, thank you. It's always so interesting to hear the breakdown of the words. The question is this. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati made certain adjustments and certain innovations. He drove in a car, sent people to the West, but he also set a standard, let's say 64 rounds. Then Prabhupada came, made some adjustments, set a standard for regulative principles, 16 rounds. So the question is, are these standards adjustable or not adjustable?
Jagannath, you want to answer?
I don't go there.
Okay, thank you for the question. Stump the guru. First of all, let's go to basics. First of all, it is a detail. It is a detail, but it's a detail given by one of the greatest acharyas. And so what a lot of devotees feel would be good is to have some way of formally recognizing people as members of our spiritual family. In other words, rather than all or nothing, either you do the 16-4 or the 4-16 or whatever, or you're just Joe the plumber for the rest of your life. So it's but as far as Prabhupada initiation, if you think about it, like take other religions like Catholicism or Protestantism or Judaism. I mean, you get a bar mitzvah like in Judaism, but to actually get a formal name change and to be considered and another thing, since we're just to put some other things on the table, so to speak, the metaphorical table, in like originally there are two adjustments in the whole concept of Diksha, which were made in modern times. One of them is to divide, let's say, gurus from Diksha, like there's a Diksha guru and a Shiksha guru. And these are terms that you find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but not in the Bhagavatam, and not in older literature. So, and I think the reason is that this is my own interpretation of the history, and I'm going to eventually get to your question, maybe. And that is in ancient something sort of happened in India in Kali Yuga, which we don't see that much in ancient times, like in the Mahabharata or the Bhagavatam. And that is that people get initiated. It's just sort of a family ritual. It really is the Hindu bar mitzvah. I mean, it really is. And it's a ritual thing. It doesn't really It's not about following strict principles. Like, for example, compare it to the Catholic, I think they call it confirmation. And so it confirms, because when you're born and you're baptized, you're a baby, you don't know what hit you. And so at a certain age, you have to confirm that, yeah, I'm not repudiating, I'm not rejecting that baptism. What's interesting is if you look at early Christianity before Augustine did, anyway, won't get into my rant on Augustine, but he's the one, he kind of pushed infant baptism. Because before that, baptism in early Christianity was exactly like Diksha, like initiation. And that's why the Emperor Constantine, even though he was sort of promoting Christianity and legitimizing it, he didn't accept baptism until he was on his deathbed, because he said, well, I'm an emperor, I kill people, and I'm not monogamous. So then when you have infant baptism, it has to be confirmed later because you didn't really choose it. So in India also, like let's say in the sort of the upper caste families, 3 upper caste families, they would have a family guru. And that's why it became so widespread in India. It didn't mean that much. It didn't mean you knew anything. It didn't mean your guru knew anything. It was just this little ritual. And so therefore, they said, okay, there's Diksha, but then there has to be Shiksha. And precisely because things came to a historical point where the Diksha guru might not know that much. And so therefore it was, they made that distinction. Although Prabhupada says that the most influential Shiksha guru in your life normally becomes your Diksha guru. That's one thing. And then another thing, which was sort of an innovation, was first and second initiation. Because Diksha used to be, you get the Gayatri mantra, and in fact, the Upanayana, which means the thread. And so it used to be, you just got initiated. There was one initiation with one guru, and you got a Brahman thread. And so dividing it into Shiksha and Diksha, and what was the other one I mentioned?
First and second.
Yeah, first and second initiation. So that's why all these things exist. So I personally believe, my humble opinion is, I don't think I should really say my humble opinion, because I think I'm very humble about my opinions, but my opinion is that just from a sociological perspective, it is important to somehow to really make people feel that they've been accepted into the community. They may not be able to do the 16:4, but they can really be devotees, and we want to somehow show them that we see them as part of our family. So that's really the issue as far as I can see. And at this point, I personally don't think the solution is just, okay, what are the 3 regular principles? No meat, fish, or eggs. And, can you say the Maha Mantra once every day? Maybe when you wake up, say the Maha Mantra. So, I don't know. What do you think, Brahmatirtha?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had to give a talk to the second generation folks on the regulative principles, and I called the talk the 4 regulative principles: no meat, fish, or eggs, and what the hell is the other one? But it was a serious matter. It's a tough one because it's some adjustments. Obviously, we're making adjustments all the time. We don't want to exclude people from the family, and we don't want to water down what our founder Acharya gave. So,
Yeah, just if I could touch on that point. Watering down the founder Acharya gave, it's not just a question of, well, that's not respectful toward Prabhupada. It's about really making our process somewhat meaningless.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like everyone gets a participation trophy. in the game, which kind of ruins the game. Instead of and it also, because if someone, let's say someone really gets Brahmin initiation and they really earned it, and not just a shotgun diksha because some temple president needed another pujari. But it's if you water that down too much, then it doesn't mean anything. It should mean that if you meet someone and they're actually a brahmana, in ISKCON, that should really mean something. I mean, just to give an example, what if we made the rules much easier to take sannyas? Like you can't have more than one girlfriend a year or something. You can see that so it just wouldn't mean anything. So that's the balance. There's a tension there, and I think we have to find the middle point of that tension. If you make it too easy, it doesn't mean anything anymore. If you make it too hard, you don't want to discourage people. So what I think is the right thing to do, and of course I have great confidence in my own opinions, but what I think we should do is and actually Jai Pataka Maharaj is really promoting this. I don't know if he still does, but there was a time when he was talking about this a lot. We should have ways of recognizing people as really part of the spiritual family. And, it may not be just changing their name but there should be some recognition. And not only for uninitiated donors. I mean, they get lots of recognition. And, we have to, I want to bite the hand that, that feeds us. But, so yeah, it seems, I think it's really like a sociological thing. How do you not water things down, but how do you keep people encouraged? And I don't think it's ideological. I think it's sociological. And personally, I'm not really inclined to change Prabhupada's basic initiation requirement. I think there are other ways you could fulfill that sociological need and make people feel they're part of the family.
Well said. It's sociological, not ideological. That changes things a little. I mean, it's so hard to be, cast a broad net and at the same time have some core standards. It's very difficult.
Well, because if the only way you can really make it in ISKCON is to get initiation, then that puts a lot of pressure on people who maybe they have a personal need. Maybe they just, people have needs, and they have personal needs. They have needs within the society they're in, and so I think it kind of overloads Diksha. It puts too much pressure on Diksha because there's not really another way to get formal, meaningful recognition of the fact that you are in a spiritual family. So thank you. Gandhini Prabhu.
I like this topic because there are many, not many, several, I don't know that many, but I know several, devotees who feel they cannot have a personal relationship with their guru because they're females and they are male gurus, and there is this issue. I'm not going to get in controversy, but the idea that you were talking about, that there may be many reasons. Some may be because they need to enjoy more and they are not ready, like the king, to yet, get their vows or whatever to get initiation. But there's other reasons, sociological reasons, for which many females don't feel connected to a male guru because of the distance that exists in that relationship. And so I like this idea that we need to make them feel part of it. But in the Bhagavad Gita says you need to have a spiritual master in order to go back to Krishna. And that creates that tension that if I don't have spiritual master, I'll go back to Krishna. But they are devoted.
Actually,
but I mean, that's the argument I have heard. I'm not saying that that's the
no, actually, Krishna doesn't really explicitly say that. Sure. Krishna, Gandhini was saying like some women don't feel really comfortable with the spiritual master because there are certain social or cultural barriers to having the type of intimacy they need to really be encouraged. And Prabhupada was obviously, 1,000% chaste, but at the same time, he had really loving relationships. I mean, famously with Jamuna and also with Jamuna's sister. Oh my God, Janaki. So, I mean, it is important to have matriarchs in ISKCON. Arche in Greek, matri, of course, is mother, and then arche in Greek means sort of like authority, like anarchy means no authority, or monarchy means one person is the authority, or oligarchy means the group is the authority. So matriarchy means, woman is an authority, or patriarchy, my personal favorite. I'm just kidding. So, I mean, the spiritual master, for example, I joined the Hare Krishna movement. I hope this won't affect our friendship, but I joined the Hare Krishna movement, and I was working under a temple president and his wife, and really they were almost like mom and dad. They really took care of me. And so, if you are associated with devotees, if you have good friends, and you have meaningful relationships with people that really care about you, and you care about them, and all that, then people are satisfied. So, as you know, I'm very strongly in favor of following Prabhupada and not subverting his teachings. And anyone's qualified, man or woman, can be a guru.
We're talking about the verse that doesn't say that you.
Krishna says, like in the famous verse, like the national anthem of ISKCON, Tadvidhi Pranipatena, which literally means know that, Tadvidhi, that, understand. And you understand it, Pranipatena, which the word Pranipatena is very interesting because it's literally a physical description. Because pra means sort of like forth, like progress, proceed, and ni means down, and pat means falling. So if you like go forward and then down, that's what an obeisance is. It's almost like a physical description of bowing. And so it means submission, pranipatena, and then pariprasnena. Prashna, of course, is question. Pari means thorough, literally means around, like in perimeter in English, periscope. And so pariprasna means like thorough questions. Like when pari as a prefix can mean different things in Sanskrit, but often it means like thoroughly or completely, all around. So pariprasnena, by complete questions. And then sevaya, by service. And then upadekshanti te jnanam, they will teach you knowledge. And it's actually in the plural, by the way, that verse. And upadekshanti is just the third person plural verb from like upadesha, like upadeshamrita. So upadesha means instruction, and upadekshanti means they will instruct. Same word. So upadekshanti te, they will teach you. And Krishna, even the syntax in the Gita is very meaningful. Syntax means a word order. So Krishna says, upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas. They will teach you knowledge who have knowledge. Jnanam jnaninas. They will teach you knowledge because they have knowledge. And they are tattvadarshina, seers of the truth. And even the word tattva is significant because there are different words in Sanskrit for truth, like ritam, like Arjuna says to Krishna in the Gita, sarvametad ritam manye. I consider everything you said to be true. So that's ritam, sort of an old word meaning like a great cosmic or universal truth. And then there's, of course, satyam, which means like it's true, it's not false. And then the word tattva, it means sort of like an ontological truth, and that's why we say Vishnu tattva, Jiva tattva, Prakriti tattva, because it means a categorical truth, an ontological truth. And so that's what the Gita actually says, that they will teach you knowledge because knowledge they have. They've seen the truth. They've seen tattva. And it's interesting because the seeing tattva is actually what Prabhupada put coming from a different way in his pranam mantra. Paschata deshatarine, nirvishesha shunyavadi, because vishesha in Sanskrit means a distinction. And so nirvishesha means someone can't distinguish. They don't make the right distinctions, like between God, the soul, and nature. So if you think Krishna has a material body, you didn't understand the vishesha, you didn't understand the distinction. If you think you are God, or if you think Krishna is a human being, that's all nirvishesha, literally a failure to make distinctions. And so the distinction, ontological distinctions, that's what tattva means. So it's really the failure to understand tattva. And that's why that verse, I think in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam, Vedanti tattva vidas. They say, people that know tattva, that there's, Brahman, Paramat, and Bhagavan. And that's exactly the same. Krishna used the same word, tattva, tattva darshina. Those who have seen tattva, those who have seen that there's God, there's a soul, and there's nature. And they've seen this. And even to understand that there is, that it's beta, that's also tattva vision. Because you have to understand the relationship between these tattvas. So that's what Krishna says. And he also says, I think in the Gita, there's the phrase acharya upasanam, that one of the things you do in order to have a spiritual life is that you worship or you honor the acharya. But Krishna doesn't explicitly talk about diksha or things like that. Although it's implied, of course, in the Bhagavatam, it's talked about more.
Okay, so let me see if I can understand the whole picture. So let's say somebody, for whatever reason, like I was saying, sociological reasons, whatever, do not have a spiritual master, but they're sincere, they're chanting the rounds, they do everything, they ask questions to acharyas. And they spread Krishna, of course, bring other people, like explain early, to Krishna. They are not limited to go back to Krishna because of
Okay, I want to repeat that because I may not have heard it. If someone is serving nicely and doing everything, but they know a spiritual master, Krishna says, as you approach me. I mean, Krishna says we should accept a guru. Prabhupada is the founder, acharya of everyone. It depends on why they don't have a spiritual master. Maybe it's just, that sort of that they never had that magic moment or something. Or maybe they're having a little like sort of a japa difficulty or something or whatever. But they're not. Prabhupada actually says in one purport but they don't resent the principle. Some people don't accept a guru just because they're too proud to have a guru. So if you don't accept a guru for the wrong reason, then pay a penalty. If you don't accept a guru, it's not that you reject it, it's just because circumstances and you don't. Prabhupada said don't resent the principle of following. It's just didn't have that magic moment or something or whatever. I mean, Krishna knows. Krishna's in our heart. And he knows when we're sincere. It's not just Santa Claus, it's actually Krishna. He knows when you've been naughty, he knows when you've been nice. It's actually Krishna, not Santa Claus. So
Thank you, Sergio. That was very nice.
So anything else? Any other?
Govind,
Jai Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Almost 50 years ago, you told me that the spiritual master, the grand spiritual master, would give you millions of times more mercy than the spiritual master.
Oh,
He said Prabhupada said that. He said Prabhupada said that the grandfather spiritual master.
Did he say millions? I don't know what Prabhupada said.
A whole lot.
A
more
lot.
mercy. Yes,
Yeah.
a lot. Yes. So the great grandfather spiritual master.
Well, Prabhupada is the founder of Acharya. That means something. It means something. It means that all of us, in terms of, to be very candid, what I understand my duty to be is just to help people to follow Prabhupada. And Krishna, because Prabhupada's the founder of Acharya. So if you really understand and follow Prabhupada, then, you're going to be very successful in life. And that's what I see my duty as. Prabhupada used to say, I was doing my article, Understanding Prabhupada, I wrote this essay on sort of the epistemology of Prabhupada. And he said over and over again, I have no magic. It's not magic. I'm faithfully repeating what Krishna is saying. And therefore, Krishna is speaking through Prabhupada. I mean, I had one very powerful experience, since you're supposed to tell anecdotes on occasions like this nowadays. Prabhupada, I remember one time I went into Prabhupada's room and under very unfortunate circumstances because one of his disciples had shot and killed another disciple because the victim was having an affair with this other person's wife. Anyway, it's unfortunate. So Prabhupada called me into his room, and early in the morning, actually, because he just heard about it, and he heard that the assailant, the person that actually committed the crime, was my personal servant. He had been. He kind of, I wonder, well, where did so and so go that day? And then that's where he went. So I just remember sitting in front of Prabhupada, and he was like this ultimate Supreme Court judge. And he knew that, and he was asking questions like, what's the distance? Because it happened in San Diego. He asked me like, what's the distance between LA and San Diego? And I thought, my understanding was, oh, he wants to know if it was premeditated. And so, I mean, not only then, but many times, I just remember being in front of Prabhupada and just seeing very clearly that Krishna is looking at me through Prabhupada's eyes. I had that experience a lot. I knew that Krishna was, and that's actually in the Bhagavatam when Vidura comes back to Hastinapur when the battle of Kurukshetra is over, and he returns, and Yudhishthira is the emperor, and I think one of the most moving verses in the Bhagavatam, it always really moves me very much, where Yudhishthira is now the emperor, and he says to his uncle Vidura, Bhavad Vidha Bhagavata Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vivo. And he says that, as Prabhupada translates, one of his amazing translations, saints of your caliber, Bhavad Vidha Bhagavata, that you are yourselves places of pilgrimage, because Vidura had gone on pilgrimage. And Yudhishthira is saying, but you are a place of pilgrimage. And then he said, Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani, literally, you make the holy places holy. You make the holy place, that's literally what it means. You make the holy places holy. Because Santak Stena Gadavrita, Gadavrit, his name is Gadadhara. Please, I'll pay you not to say Gadadhar. Anyway, so Gada means a club. And so Gadabrit is just Gadadhara, because you are carrying him in your heart. And I had the experience that many times when I received Prabhupada at the airport, usually often in Los Angeles, and somehow or other I always snuck in, to like the jetway. And I was always like, because in those days they didn't have all the security in the airports. And so I would, and the airport people would say, no, stand back, can't go over to the press line. I just somehow or other, I always managed to weasel my way past the line. And then I would always be, it's like in the Krishna book, like I'll be the first to touch Krishna. I just wanted to be the first to see Prabhupada coming through the jetway. And when I would see him, I would like give the high sign to the devotees, and the kirtan would just explode. There would be like a couple hundred devotees and literally just take over the airport. Even the airport police were just like, it was just so powerful. And I always had the same experience when I can just see it now, Prabhupada coming down the jetway. And what I always saw was there are two people coming. Mm-hmm. It's Prabhupada and Krishna. And it's just like Yudhishthira's very moving glorification of his uncle. That's what I always saw, that Prabhupada is carrying Krishna. Just like many times I'd be in Prabhupada's room and I would just see Krishna looking at me through Prabhupada's eyes, because he had surrendered his senses to God. So if you're if you're a faithful devotee in ISKCON and you're doing the best you can, and you've got a ticket to ride.
Mm.
I mean, you're, and it's not that, who are these gurus, these bums? I mean, but let's say, for example, just haven't had that magic moment or for whatever reason, but you're actually sincerely, faithfully serving and you're not envious, then Krishna will take care of you. As far as I can see. So is that it? Any last question before you all give me donations that you actually can't afford? No?
No.
Anyway, all glories to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So thank you all very much for coming. It's always the more the merrier in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you.
My pleasure.